We're not willing to change the way we do things. We're not even willing to get up and shake somebody's hand. Why won't he come and shake my hand? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlil fala hadiya lahu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Amma ba'd, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. فبما رحمة من الله لنت لهم ولو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك فاعف عنهم واستغفر لهم وشاورهم في الأمر فإذا عزمت فتوكل على الله إن الله يحب المتوكلين. صدق الله العظيم وصدق مولانه النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك ومن الشاهدين ومن الشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. In Surah Imran it says, say, O Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is through mercy from Allah that you are gentle to them. Had you been rough and hard-hearted, they would have dispersed from around you. So pardon them and seek forgiveness for them. Consult them in the matter, and once you have taken your decision, place your trust in Allah. Surely Allah loves those who place their trust in Him. And in a hadith, Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu reported the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever would love to be delivered from the hellfire and admitted into paradise, let him meet his end with faith in Allah and the last day, and let him treat people as he would love to be treated. So, first of all, we would like to offer our condolences to our brothers and sisters whose relative, family member and friend has passed away. And we would like to welcome the community to our community, that they've traveled here from many different parts of the country, that this is our house and this is also your house. So, this was not, this khutbah wasn't planned specifically for this topic. It just so happens that it aligns. And, usually the theme and what I'm going to talk about, I think of it a few days beforehand. And I prepared accordingly. And this week, this is, I believe, the fourth janazah we've had. And so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on all of the families. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on all those who have passed away. So, earlier I was having a conversation with a brother. And this is a friend of mine. And, he just reached out to me to ask me how I'm doing. And this is something important that we should all try to practice. Reaching out to one another, asking each other how we're doing, just to check. You don't have to ask anything beyond that. You don't have to ask anything more than that. Just ask, how are you doing? How is your day going? Is there anything I can help you with? That's about it. Just keep up with each other. Make sure you're doing okay. Like today, I saw my brother Junaid. I haven't seen Junaid in a while. And as soon as I saw Junaid, I became happy. And out of happiness, I said, you're not supposed to be here. And he's like, why? I'm like, you're supposed to let me know when you're coming so I can become happy that you're coming. So, we get that joy and happiness when we see our brothers. And, it's sort of like a feeling that I haven't seen you in so long, I wish I could see you more often. And so when we have these gaps in communication for a long period of time, we can use the aids of modern technology to at least make them a little bit less by messaging one another or calling one another once in a while, just to ask, how are you doing? Nothing more. You don't have to ask, did your kid get married? Why didn't you invite me? None of that. Just ask how you're doing. When we do this, the hearts will become closer. And when we bring the hearts closer, we're not bringing them closer for the purpose of fulus, money, for the purpose of getting invited to a party, but rather we're bringing the hearts closer so that we can love one another. It's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so in another hadith, Aisha radiallahu anha reported the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, verily the most complete of believers in faith are those with the best character, and who are most kind to their families. So as I was talking to this brother, he was telling me, he's like, I have friends, I have people I have known for over 30 years of my life. He's like, and because something happened in the community between us, now those people don't even talk to me. And these people would always be like, hey, look, if you have anything going on, reach out to me. If you have any problems going on, reach out to me. He's like, now they've completely blackballed me. They don't talk to me, they don't call me. If they see me, they don't want to meet with me. He's like, I haven't done anything to them. Who gave you the right to treat somebody so badly? Who made you the decision maker of society that you can blackball somebody? Who gave you the capabilities and powers to mistreat people. When the Prophet ﷺ is telling us, love one another. When the Prophet ﷺ is telling us that whoever would love to be delivered from the hellfire and admitted into paradise, let him meet his end with faith in Allah and the last day, and let him treat people as he would love to be treated. So when you mistreat somebody, are you following this hadith? When you mistreat somebody, are you following this hadith? No, you're not. We love to quote the Quran and the Sunnah. We love to quote the hadith when it's convenient to us. But when it comes to the ayat of the Quran and the hadith, and we're transgressing those limits, we don't want to hear those hadith. We don't want to hear those ayat of the Quran because we know we're guilty. We know we're guilty. We don't want to be guilty, but we also don't want to change the way we do things. That's the other problem. That if somebody knows they're doing something wrong, somebody knows they're guilty of something, you know what they do? They try to change. They try to change. And you know a problem in this country with the prison system is, there's no concept of reform. It's supposed to be a concept of reform. And then when you look at schools, there's no concept of changing the habits from bad to good. You go up and down the system, schools, offices, buildings, everywhere. They've opened up the doors. You can feel the way you want. You can act the way you want. And you can even tell people what creature you are. And they have to believe you. So they've done an up, down, all around change in the way society operates. And we as Muslims, we can't accept this. We can't follow through with this. Because this is not our way. Our way is what our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught us by the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He took the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and He showed us as human beings how we're supposed to follow them. So when we see the system being corrupted, when we see things around us being utterly destroyed, we have to go back to the Kitabullah. We have to go back to the Kalamullah. And we have to go back to the Sunnah of our beloved Habib Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, be devout and you will be the most pious of people. Be content and you will be the most grateful of people. Love for people what you love for yourself and you will be a believer. Behave well with your neighbors and you will be a Muslim. Laugh less, for too much laughter will deaden the heart. And this is from Ibn Majah. Love for people what you love for yourself and you will be a believer. You know, today our brother, he passed away. What was his name? Rafiq, right? Rafiq ibn Yahya, right? And I was reading the name and I was like, what a beautiful name. I was talking with my friend on the way here. And I was like, this is a beautiful name. I was just in awe and amazement of the name. Rafiq ibn Yahya. Just such a beautiful name. If we valued this name and we valued this person during the course of his life, we would have met with him more often, we would have kept up with him more often, and we would have made sure that he's doing okay more often. I'm not calling anybody out or anything. I'm just giving an example because he's the brother who's passed away. We don't want this to be the situation where any one of our friends, family members, cousins, uncles, aunts, anybody passes away, that we're lamenting, oh, I wish I would have kept up with him. They were such a beautiful person. I didn't even give them a call one time a year. I feel so bad. Today you have an opportunity to change that. If we don't pass away while leaving out of this hall, or we don't pass away today, try to change that. Try to love for others what you love for yourself, which is to be valued, which is to be concerned. So reach out to somebody. Somebody maybe you haven't talked to or spoken to in 2-3 years. They're a good person. You know they're a good person. But due to your lack of attention, or maybe due to lack of time, we're all busy these days. You haven't reached out. Call them and be like, hey, look, we haven't spoken in a long time. I was just thinking about you today. I heard in Jummah, the Khatib was reminding us that we should reach out to those people who are dear and near to us. So I thought that you're near and dear to me. Let me reach out to you. And I'm only reaching out to you for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's it. Nothing else. I don't care about the $10,000 you owe me. We can talk about that later. But all I'm concerned about right now is our connection between our hearts. Making sure we love one another. When we do that, you know how we're always talking about change in society. You know how change in society happens? When you change yourself first. But the problem is we're not willing to change ourselves. We're not willing to change the way we do things. We're not even willing to get up and shake somebody's hand. Why won't he come and shake my hand? These were actions where Sahaba would run to do them first. Now, because of the way society operates and the way society tells us to operate, we always have to be the person who is treated. We don't want to be the one who is doing the treatment. And this is the problem in society. And Islam came to destroy all of these concepts. Islam came and it destroyed all of these concepts. But you know what? Society started to retrain people over the last 300-400 years and tell them that Islam, this religion, Islam and its ways, they're olden. Don't pay attention to them. What did Islam teach us? Islam taught us have a simple wedding, right? And I know I go back to this topic because it's a very relevant topic. Islam told us have a simple wedding. Don't waste money. Don't waste resources. What does research say now? Those marriages which spend the least amount of money have the higher percentage of being successful. And the marriages which spend more money have a more likely chance of ending up in divorce sooner. Islam taught us, lead simple lives. Islam taught us, lead simple lives. Islam taught us, eat properly and don't eat up until here. What do? We try to fill ourselves up until we throw up. But that's not what Islam taught us. That's not what the Prophet Muhammad taught us. You know the same Rahmatul lil Alameen, in whose house there wouldn't be enough oil to light a candle for weeks upon end. The same one in whose house meat would come in and it would be distributed as soon as it came in. He wouldn't even be worried, his wives wouldn't be worried about keeping meat for themselves. They were worried about how can we take care of those around us. We didn't forget these lessons. We just chose to ignore them. And when we choose to ignore the important lessons, you know what people do? They take our lessons, they rewrap them, and they bring them back to us. And then because we've become so impressed with the Western, the imperial systems, we say, oh wow, mashallah, look at the system. It's so beautiful. When they graduate, they wear these abayas and thobes. Look at it, they're so prestigious. We were told to wear modest clothing from the get-go. We're the ones not doing it. Oh, look at them, they're wearing these hats, they're so nice. Prophet ﷺ wore an amama, he wore a hat. We're not doing these things and then we're getting impressed by these other things. Remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His lessons for us. Remember the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his warnings, his teachings, and his blessings for us. And remember your Muslim brothers and sisters around you, because they are depending on you and we are depending on them to act more like the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and act more like his Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala majma'een, and act more like his wives, his daughters, and those pious women. Because when society comes back to this, we'll care about one another more, we'll look out for one another more, and we'll love one another more. Because we'll be removing all those obstacles which are solely related to the dunya. We'll be removing those from our relationships with one another. And the main thing we'll be looking for is how can I increase this love for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu reported the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the merciful will be shown mercy by the most merciful. Be merciful to those on the earth, and the one in the heavens will have mercy upon you. So when you feel like being mean to somebody for no apparent reason, remember, what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want from us? He wanted us to be merciful to one another. He wanted us to love one another. So go back to the hadith. Go back to the Quran. Go back to the ways of our beloved Habib Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and try to be more like him. And see the difference you can make in even one life. Even one life. And when you see that difference you make in that one life, and you know whose life that has to be first? Your own life. Before you go to others. You have to change your own life. Before you start telling people what you're doing is haram, while you're eating a haram burger, you're telling other people what you're eating is haram. Look at what you're putting in your own body. Look at what you're putting in your own mind. Look at what you're doing to yourself before you start judging others. In the Quran, in ayah number 160 of Surah Imran, before we went over 159, إِن يَنْصُرْكُمُ اللَّهُ فَلَا غَالِبَ لَكُمْ وَإِن يَخْذُلْكُمْ فَمَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَنْصُرُكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. If Allah helps you, there is none to overcome you. And if He abandons you, then who is there to help you after that? In Allah, the believers should place their trust. And with this we will end, that we should all be placing our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and trying to do better for ourselves and for society by following in the footsteps of who? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Jazakallah khair, subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.